Okay, so it should take a few seconds. I find that maybe while that's loading, I'll show you guys the project that I'm currently working on. And what's nice about this in Blender or in Unity even, these are coming in as tiles and you can easily just delete them, stitch them together. So it's a very, very nice model import for any visualization work you might be doing. So I quite like the workflow. Okay, so hope everybody had success there. What I want you guys to do next, and presumably you have different cities that you're importing, we're actually gonna build the example together. So this example is building on, if you go to the folder, it is building on under data number 4, which is the REST API example. And so in the REST API example, there's the, I'm gonna open this. So in this example that NJ displayed yesterday, basically here in this example, you're able to set up, use the city name as a variable. So in this case, initially this was set up to Seoul. You can change this to New York. You can change it to any city. And it's using an API key. So this API key is something that you can inject your own API key. So remember, we went to Open Weather. So openweather map.org. So this is what we were looking at this morning. And with Open Weather, you are able to set up an account. So if you don't have an account already, make an account, and we can then copy your API key and add it to that example. So you can go to my API key, log in, and use that as the variable for that input. So try that, save and run. Nothing should be changing at that point. And once you have the API key copied and placed here, we're gonna do a save as of this example and build the next example over this, right? So this example didn't really have the city model. It was only looking at actually only printing the information in the console, but we're gonna print this in over the city, so as a text canvas. So there's 2 components to this.
Yeah, also I have one note about the
yes, go ahead.
9.9. So as you can see here, we have the keyword called the public, right? So when you put the public in front of the variable, you can see the variable in the inspection. So now you have the New York in the code level, and you have the Seoul in the unit level, and the unit level is gonna be override the variable in the code level. So just for your information, yeah.
Yeah, so if I change this to New York, then we should be.
This is one way. Otherwise, we can just get rid of the public in front of the city name variable. Yep.
So what I want you to do is to save this as a new example and this is a matter of preference, whether you want to save it in the same folder. So for instance, here I did a save as, so I had REST API example open, I went to file, I did save scene as, and you could, it's up to you how you want to organize this. Here I have two examples. I have it in the same folder, REST API, or you can make a new folder. So in this case, the examples that NJ provided, it went all the way up to number 6. You can create a new folder. So you can right click, do a new folder. And obviously you want to rename this. So in this case, I also create another folder, in this case, REST API _ open weather. So I guess the summary here is that make a new location for that file, because we're going to make adjustments to this, right? We're going to add the city to this. So I'm actually going to go to this separate folder that I've created as number 7 and open the example here. So what you're going to have at this point is ultimately the example without the city, right? You don't have the city here. I'm actually going to get rid of this as a placeholder. Okay, so I basically have a new folder with a new scene, but we also need to make a copy of the code. So we're basically going to take the same code and revise it. So the best way to do this, if you open the code in Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code and make a copy, obviously it cannot be the same name. We'll have conflicts here, but let's say this is the original code. From example 4, go ahead and file, go to file and do a save as, and create a copy wherever you have your new example saved. So for instance, here it's REST API _ open weather. I'm going to save the code here, and I called it the same thing, REST API _ open weather. Now we need to then change, obviously, name of our, this name needs to reflect our code as well, right? Just renaming itself is not going to be good enough, but we want to rename it. Then once you rename it, you make sure that you go inside the example here and you make sure that name of your code is also reflecting basically name of your class, right? Otherwise, you're not going to be able to proceed. Okay, so basically I want everybody to have an instance, a copy of the REST API example, however, rename it, so then we're proceeding with this example separately. So I'll wait for everybody to get to this point. Again, you can have all of this in the same place, right? So it just comes down to renaming issue and organization issue based on your preference. So just curious, was everybody able to import the city?
Not yet. Something happened in the random doc. May I share my screen?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you see here?
Yeah. So can you close your render doc?
Close it.
Yeah, close Chrome again. Let's try one more time. If you wanna, if you wanna save the path, but go to file.
Chrome before execute render doc.
Yeah, so you want to close render doc and close Chrome.
Okay.
Let's just start. And so run the shortcut. No, you want to run Chrome first.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Then 17456, open render doc. Go to file, inject. Yeah, 17, look for 174, there you go. Click on it, yeah, and then inject, perfect. Now you can go to your Chrome and close that, you got it. Yeah, and then, oh, it seems like it didn't work, right?
It's still blocked.
Yeah, it seems like it doesn't, your Chrome is not set up properly. Can you close it again? Do you have all Chrome closed when you did? Yeah, close it.
Yeah.
And did you set up the, close it again? That looks right. Okay, open Chrome again.
Open Chrome firstly.
No, under with the shortcut. Yeah, it seems like it's not. Okay, let's try one more time. 156, render doc, file, inject into process. 15, yeah, click, inject. Okay, go back to your Chrome. Yeah. Okay, so it's not. Can you go back and check the path that you have? I mean, you have the shortcut, but for some reason the settings.
This path? Oh.
Yeah.
This one? I
copy paste that from the example.
This one you have plus 86. Well,
1 second. Let me see. Let me see.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
So I can do it again, but
Can you?
yeah, because my path is not the same as yours, so I changed, did it here. Oh, I can't.
Okay, hold on. I think it's a path issue, right? Can I see your where you have your Chrome folder?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you right click, can you copy the path? Can you put that? And when you got so you copy the path, right?
Yeah.
And then that's the one you entered. Can you go back to the, can you right click on it and go back to properties again? Forget. Right, but these are two separate. So for target, this is what I have. Did you look to find your Chrome CMD file?
No, how?
So go to your C, Windows. Might not, okay. Windows?
Sorry?
Windows?
Oh, Windows.
Scroll down, Systems. 32. Down.
32. This one.
And you should have your CMD file here. You can search for it. Yeah, so it might be, yeah, it seems like it's there. Okay, so it should look in there. All right, I can take a look at this. If you don't mind, we can go into a breakout room and we can maybe try to reinstall again. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Really close. Okay, so I'm gonna, okay, so we're gonna proceed. So to import this model in Unity, I figured that most of you already know how to do this. You just need to basically, this is a matter of preference, which is where do you put the file. I usually just create a folder called 3D models and store it here. Some people call it 3D assets. So this is completely up to you where you want to store this. Some people also place the model inside the subfolders. Anybody has a specific preference for importing assets? So as long as you know where they are, right? So, so what you want to do is to just create a folder or a location where you can then import your model. And to import the model, you can either go and find the folder and copy it there, or you can just simply drag and drop your model here. What is also interesting is that Unity also works with Blender files. So even if you don't export your file as FBX, if you also store your file here as .blend Blender, actually Unity can import Blender files. The problem is that with Blender file, there's other things that usually come in, but this was something that I think it's a nice feature. But if you have a working file and if you want to keep it in the same place, you can certainly do it here. So in order for you to import the file, just go ahead and drag and drop. So for instance, I had a Los Angeles model. I had a New York model. Let me import the Los Angeles one. And I'm gonna just import the FBX file here. Just drag and drop. And after you have the model dragged here, then you want to kind of inspect what you have. So depending on basically the version of the Blender that you're using or anything else, there might be a couple of steps that we need to take in this case. So for instance, one of the things that you want to do when you when you bring in your Blender model is you want to select it, and in Inspector, you would see an option for materials, and you can go ahead and click on this option to call that's called Extract Textures. And usually that is referring to a folder where you have your textures extracted. And you should be able to find a folder with an FBM extension that has the textures extracted. So that would allow you to, when you're exporting as FBX, to find the textures. If you ever, from Blender, if you don't see this texture folder, one way that you can go about this in Blender, if you go to File, and if you go to here where you say External Data, you can do either pack or unpack your all the files. So this would be one way that you can go about extracting the textures, packing the textures, so you can go ahead and do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and do this, unpack all, or if you want to, let's say, pack it all in one place, you can do pack all into Blender. And all of this would allow you to basically, if you're missing textures, you're able to retrieve those. If you ever open a Blender file and it's missing the texture, often if you go to File and if you go to External Data, you'll be able to find missing files. And that's one way that if you, let's say, have any cache files or any texture files, you'll be able to go ahead and link them together. In Unity, once you have your model in a scene, so I already have this drag and drop on the scene, you can go ahead and do that as well, drag and drop. Once you're exporting, if you're doing a generic exporting from a program like Blender, it's gonna actually by default pack its own light and pack its own camera as well. And this is the same in Rhino. So for instance, in Rhino, when you're exporting something as FBX, if you do not uncheck this option called Save Data, it's actually going to save the camera and the views, and it becomes an issue when you then drag it back into Unity. So one way is when you're exporting, when we're doing the FBX process, to uncheck camera and light. The other option is that once you have your model dragged and dropped in Unity, it actually, because it's an export from another program, it is coming in as a package model. And we can go ahead and change the name, but that doesn't really change the let's say, subcategories that is containing. So I'm gonna just call this Manhattan 2, just to separate it from Manhattan 1. And this is gonna ultimately be seen as a package. Give me a minute to just reset this. And one way to get rid of the camera and light here, and if you scroll down, in this case, I have the camera and light. If I want to delete it as is, this is not going to work because this is basically a package. But if you right click on it and go to prefab and tell it to unpack, then you'll be able to just easily get rid of the camera and light. And this is usually the case whether you're working from Blender to Unity or from Rhino to Unity, and this kind of issue of light and texture is the case. So you should be able to see your model with texture. If they're still missing texture under each section, so these are going to be different tiles that we are exported. When you click on each option, in your inspector, you're going to see an option for each building material. Now, if you right click on it, there's an option to reset, and basically reset is going to reapply the texture. You could also, while you're resetting, you can go ahead and you can, let's say, do any editing. You can look for the location. So all of that would be done with reset. So all of these, they basically have their textures map along. So if everybody could just import your asset, make sure that textures are linked, then we'll have something in the scene to work with. So let me know if you have any questions, any issues.
Sorry, from Blender, when I try to do pack, external data, pack going into the blend file, I get a series of errors saying unable to pack file, source path. Oh, yes. Yeah. So if I do file, external data, you should check this one, automatically pack.
Right, so let's do that. If you can you tag me to the folder where you have this model saved?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you open the folder? It says Melbourne model. Can you open that? That's where your textures should be. So these are all of your textures. So it's already exported.
Okay.
So did you already export this as FBX?
Yeah. Yes. So it's this one here.
Can you try to drag and drop?
Should we extract texture?
Yeah. Try that.
So if I give it,
and then exactly link that select folder.
Yeah, because I did it before, but still.
So the other option is when you drag it on screen, we can reset the texture. So that, and then often when it resets one, resets the other. The other option is if you do like group selection and then it resets the texture.
Okay. But is it okay that it's still like look non-material?
Yeah, so we're gonna try to reset. So try to drag it on. There you go.
It shows.
Yeah, so then I would unpack and it seems like it still has the lights. So yeah. Right click and unpack your, go to prefab and unpack. There you go. And then just, delete the light and the camera.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if you, so each of these also would have an option to reset. So like, even if you want to take a tile and, I don't know, give it like another, you can apply another shader to it if you want. Yeah. But what's nice is like it works in these tiles.
Yeah.
Great,
awesome.
That looks good.
Thank you.
Anybody else having issues with importing texture?
I have a question, Diana. So I still don't have the texture in the Blender.
Would you mind sharing your screen?
Okay. So this is the model that I got in Blender, but it's still plain.
Can you do me a favor and click on this option in here, the right here, that button.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. And give it a minute or a couple seconds. Yeah, it didn't export. Okay, so it means that when we, do you happen to have, oh, there you go.
Oh, okay, now it's,
it was just slow. That looks great. What city is this?
This is Shibuya.
Oh, nice. What I love, I get so excited about the bridges. The fact that it actually is able to do bridges, that's really nice. Perfect. So now let's try to export this into Unity or import this into Unity.
Okay, so I need to export it. Oh, wait.
Yeah,
I need to export it as.
So try to go to exactly. So export it as FPS.
FBX.
Yeah, and then what you want to do is, yeah, exactly. So you already have the textures there. So you want to just here change the auto to change that option to copy. There.
Okay.
And then you want to check this box where it's going to collect the textures. Perfect. So then give it another name, or if you want to try it maybe with texture. And then export. Yeah, so here you see like by default it gives you these options like camera, light, etc. But I think it's fine. We can just unpack it there. Great. So do export FBX. And if we go to Unity now.
It's still on process. Okay, good. So let's go to Unity. Still importing.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a heavy process. Everything with Unity is heavy. So. Everybody else able to import? Yeah.
Okay, I think I will stop my screen sharing.
Sure. So what's nice about this model is super optimized. It has the texture. You could use it for a lot of things, but as you know, like the main issue is the fact that it actually doesn't have so the buildings are not objects, right? So it doesn't have a sense of this is a building unless you apply other factors to it. So perhaps like combination of this with GIS data could be interesting, but for now, again, it's a really great background for what we want to do. Okay, so the next thing is to be able to add, let's say, print some information over this. And the way we're going to do this is by using a UI component. So give me a minute.